What's going on, guys? Geoff here from the Hookup Tackle. Kind of switching up the location because Ben has it just an absolute mess over there right now. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to be over here, but I kind of like the setting. This could be Geoff's kind of corner where Ben is not allowed to go.
That's my spot.
So today's video, it's kind of a little outdated because some of the footage that you guys will see is a little bit old, like a couple months old, but I kind of forgot to do a video on this topic, but I had a really fun time fishing this specific way, and that is shallow water crankbait fishing with a smaller crankbait, whether it be a 1.0 all the way up to a 4.0 size crankbait. So if you guys are ready, let's get right into today's video.
Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Deps, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com.
Okay, so in today's video, I will actually be catching fish, unlike a lot of my swim bait videos. Was that good, Ben?
That's perfect, Jeff.
Cool. So today we are talking about shallow water crankbait fishing. A few months ago, out on a specific lake out here in Arizona, there was a really good shallow water crankbait bite, and it was a really fun bite. We kind of put down the swim baits and said, hey man, let's go out and actually try and catch some fish, just because the fish were so keyed in on micro bluegill that they didn't want anything to do with a 7-inch plus swim bait. So we're like, well, we might as well not keep banging our heads into the wall. Let's actually try and catch some fish. The shallow water crankbait bite pretty much consisted of a couple of crankbaits. I'm going to show you guys those crankbaits, and then I'm going to show you guys some alternates as well if you are not a fan of that specific crankbait. But they all have a very similar style to each one. So the very first crankbait that we're going to be talking about is one of Ben's favorite, and that is the Strike King crankbait, whether it be the 2.5 or the 4.0.
Love striking.
Yeah, it's obviously not the super high-end baits that we normally carry here in shop, but there is no denying that Strike King makes a really good crankbait. I mean, as much as Ben doesn't want to admit it, they make good crankbaits.
They do.
It's honestly their strong suit, let's just say that. So we were fishing, me and my buddy, we were fishing the 2.5 and the 4.0 size crankbaits, and they were absolutely getting crushed. And it seemed like my buddy, who was fishing this specific color in a 4.0, he was throwing a little bit larger size than I was. It seemed like he was getting more bigger bites than I was when we were fishing. So I mean, he ended up catching, you know, a good amount of 3 to 5 pound fish up there that were all literally less than 4 feet of water. It was honestly a really fun time. It was something that he hadn't really done before, so it was cool seeing him get pretty hyped on it. Then I started picking up that same exact crankbait, and I started catching some decent fish as well. Okay, there's a decent one.
Yes, dude, yes, yes.
All right, There's another one on that Strike King. That was cool. That's a pretty one. What we were pretty much doing is we were just burning bank, trying to cover as much bank as we possibly could. With these crankbaits, we were fishing around rocks and the trees, and it didn't seem like if it mattered if there was sun or not. It just seemed like if there was good rock and a very specific type of rock and a type of sloping bank, you were probably going to catch a fish if you cranked it hard enough. The other style of crankbait that I was personally catching them on was the Megabass. This is the S Crank. Definitely a more JDM, cooler style crankbait. It's more of a flat-sided crankbait, while obviously the Strike King is more of just that roundish profile. So the differences that I seem to have found with the Sonic side is I wasn't catching as big of fish as I was catching on like the 2.5 or the 4.0, but I seemed like I was getting a lot more bites with the Sonic side. They just weren't exactly the size I was expecting. Actually, let me use this. Alright, another one on that S Crank. Good bite out here. Nice little guy on the crank. Pretty. Now, it might have came down to timing, putting my bait in certain spots and picking up and trying different crankbaits. But one thing I thought might have made a bit of a difference was that the Strike King, the 4.0 especially, when you're cranking it, you're really feeling it. It's got a really wide body sidement to it when it cranks, while the Sonic side is definitely a lot more tighter, and it doesn't give off as much vibration as you'd say a 4.0. So what I think was going on is that those fish, they were able just to key in more on that harder moving crankbait that was the Strike King. Those were kind of the two players going into it. Now there's obviously different options if you guys are not into Strike King or if you guys don't really like the Sonic side. Now another crankbait that Ben actually recommended me trying was the kind of cousin to that Sonic side, and that's the S Crank. Now the S Crank comes in a 1.2, a 1.5, and a 2.0 size, and these crankbaits are awesome as well. Now the only problem that I was finding with the S Crank is that since I was fishing around trees, the S Crank has a very wide hunting action. So if I'd get it up next to a tree, sometimes what it would do is it would literally just run itself right into the tree and get snagged up. While fishing that Sonic side, it's a lot more tighter. It runs way more straight. So if I'm fishing and I'm lining up a cast right down by a tree, I don't have to worry about the crankbait, going side to side and getting maybe a branch that's hanging out. I know with that Sonic side, it's going to run straight through. So I didn't snag as much with the Sonic side. But in that open water, this crankbait will be a lot better, especially just around regular rocks. Hunting style crankbaits have been super popular for as long as the Wigglewort's been around. So Megabass has the S Crank that is a very similar action that gets bit just as well. Now another house favorite here in shop is the OSP, the Blitz and the Blitz Max. So the Blitz Max is going to be a little bit larger than just the normal Blitz. The Blitz is 53 millimeters, while the Blitz Max is 62 millimeters. So it's kind of around that 1.2, 1.0 size, as well as the Blitz Max. And it's pretty much the same exact thing. It's going to have a hard kick to it as well. It's not as wide as I'd say the S Crank is, but it definitely has a very similar action to the Strike King ones. But the technology that is in the OSP crankbaits are incredibly, incredibly amazing. If you guys want the high-end JDM version of like a Strike King, go with OSP. You will not be disappointed. And then the other last one for the harder moving crankbaits would be the Deps Evoke, Evoke 1.2 and the 2.0. I was fishing the 2.0 out there, and I actually really liked this crankbait. It was really good. It actually got down a little bit deeper than I thought it was, so if I did want to fish a little bit deeper, I'd pick up the Evoke and try that around some of like the deeper rocks and some of the deeper trees. But again, that same size was absolutely killer out there. It's got a great hard wobble to it. You will really feel it come back to the boat. I mean, it's got a great kick to it as well. So then going into the other flat-sided crankbaits, Ben did just do a video on the flat-sided crankbaits. I will post a kind of a link thing up above. In that video, he also talks about the Evergreen Flat Force as well as the HPF Spec 2 by OSP and Evergreen. Both flat-sided crankbaits are incredible baits. So this lineup of the Sonic side, the HPF, and the Flat Force are going to be great flat-sided crankbaits if you guys are looking to try some out. I know he likes to fish them in the colder water, so right now would be a pretty good time. I mean, I was fishing the Sonic side as well as the Strike King. I was fishing it kind of late summer, and I was getting a lot of bites on both crankbaits, so it didn't seem like it mattered. So one of the downsides though to Strike King crankbaits is their hardware. Their hardware is not that good. It's not good at all. So what I had to do with mine, because I did not want to lose any of the fish that we were hooking, I switched out hooks on the 2.5 and the 4.0. I was switching over to Owner ST35s. These hooks were pretty much designed for jerk baits and crankbaits and topwater just because of the angle that the barb's set at. It rides the belly really nice on the crankbaits, and it hooks fish. They're super strong, and they make them in the right sizes. So swapping out the hooks is like the biggest thing I can tell you if you're gonna pick up the Strike King crankbaits. On all the other JDM brands here that we have, you don't really need to because they actually come with good hooks. So it's another plus or minus if you want to debate that with yourself. The rod being used throughout the video was the Megabass. This is the new P5 Madbull. I think this is one of Ben's favorite rods. He let me borrow it to go fish around, and honestly, it's a really sweet stick. 7-foot rod, rated 3/8 ounce up to an ounce, so it can handle a lot of good stuff. It's got a very parabolic type of bend to it. Bends all the way down here, practically in the middle of the rod, maybe even closer to the butt end. So I know it's a graphite rod. A lot of guys like cranking on a glass rod, but I found that because this rod has that bend, it loads a crankbait super well. So it worked out. Definitely worked better than the other rod that I was fishing before. I definitely landed a lot more fish on this Madbull. Now the reel was just a Daiwa Steez A. Huh? Just a Daiwa Steez A? Yeah, it's just a Daiwa Steez A. Look at, man. It just ain't shit, you know. I'm making you bougie, aren't I? You are. Yeah, welcome. Unfortunately. No, but it is the legendary, one of the greatest reels ever made of all time. This is the Daiwa Steez A. What a beautiful, sexy reel. Nothing like it on the market. The line I was fishing was 20-pound fluorocarbon, just because I was switching back and forth between throwing a buzz bait as well as some of those bigger crankbaits. Seemed like it did just fine. So that is the setup that I was fishing throughout the video. All right, guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, check these out. Get them before spring comes, because when spring comes, a lot of these crankbaits are going to be sold out. If you guys are looking to pick up a Madbull rod, we should have some coming again end of January maybe, something like that. We have Steez A's. We have Steez A's in stock. All of them. We have all the Steezes right now. Yeah. We have all the Steezes in stock right now if you guys wanted to pick up the same exact setup. This setup can be used for so many different baits, so many different applications. It's honestly a really fun rod, and it's pretty sexy. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.